Hi there and welcome to the 27th edition of Career Stories Live, and today I'm joined by Jenny Cadman, who is the Head of Customer Experience at Just Group. So welcome Jenny, thank you for joining.
Hiya.
It's really nice to see you. So Jenny and I have known each other, I know, I think it's about 30 years. I was thinking the other day that we've known each other. That's really quite scary. We worked together really briefly at the Pru, didn't we? It wasn't actually that long that we worked directly together. But
yeah,
so,
happy memories.
Happy memories. You actually worked with my husband more than you worked with me, didn't you?
I did, yes. Yeah, we've had some really fond memories of my time at the Prudential, Dukesbridge House, teaching ABCs. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It definitely was. So please do comment, anyone that's watching, let us know that you're here, where you're joining from. Feel free to ask any questions, share your experiences or your questions. And if you're watching on replay later on, then also do leave comments. So we've got someone saying hi there. So hi there. Thank you for watching.
Hi.
Okay, so the basis for these lives, really, I've always been really interested in what it is that people do and why they do them, and just like to learn about different roles. And the aim really is to inspire thought about what people could do, give people advice on where to source information, and get some advice from the experts that I have coming on. So we'll go straight over to you, Jenny. So could you just give us a brief intro into what it is you do right now?
Yeah. Sure, thank you, Sarah. So I work for Just Group and have worked for them since 2010, so just over 13 years. And we're a relatively small financial services firm that focus entirely on the at-retirement sector. So we design and offer products and services for people who are aged 55 and over. We're mainly B2B, so most of the products that we distribute and manufacture are sold through financial intermediaries. We have a distribution company within the group, and they work with partners, so typically they're working with large life companies. My job is, my title is Head of Customer Experience. My job is probably almost anything and everything to do with our customers. So I have a small team that's 5 of us in total, and we focus primarily on the experience that our customers have. So that will be any interaction that they have with us through any channel. We are quite an analog business, but we do some digital work. And really, it's about making sure that our customers go away having had a positive experience, and my team are concentrated on how we might improve their journey through interactions and touch points. But we're also very actively involved in all of the work to do with vulnerability and how we better support customers who might have additional or different needs. So that tends to be an area of specialism for my team. But yeah, very, very people focused, very customer focused, and really focused on trying to help customers navigate their way through a stage in their lives that can be very, very complicated and at times very stressful.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Okay, I've seen there's a couple more people that have said hello. So Paul is sat in the kitchen. Hello. And then we've got someone who's anonymous saying hello. So hello, thank you for watching. And I'll put a message in the notes later on to tell you how to get your name shown in future. Okay, so early careers. I'm always asking people about early careers now. So did you have a job when you were at school? And if you did, how has that helped you now?
I don't know that the job necessarily helped me a great deal, but I did have a job when I was at school. Loved horses when I was younger, still love horses. And so most holidays, weekends was spent at a local equestrian centre. And one way in which we could earn money at the equestrian centre was to go out into the fields. It was a huge equestrian centre, loads of fields, loads of ponies, and keep the fields, let's say, clean. So clearing up after the horses had done their mucky business. And so, we used to get paid to go and pick up horses' poo.
Nice.
Nice job, yeah. Rubber gloves not included, so we had to supply our own rubber gloves. And yeah, 30p a bag is how much I got paid. So we were allocated a field and we would go off with our bags and we would go pick up horse food for 30p.
Nice.
How has that helped me in my career? I don't know that it did, but what clearly it did is that it instilled a work ethic from a fairly young age, that if I wanted some money, my parents weren't going to just buy everything for me. If I wanted to go out with my friends or go to the cinema, then the expectation was that, you know, I would pay for myself. And so
Yeah.
the way in which I chose to do that was by doing something that I love, spending time with my horses and my friends down at the stables, and also keeping the ponies safe by clearing up after them.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, work ethic, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so your career then. So how did you start your career?
Okay, so when I was 16, I wanted to leave school as soon as I could leave. So I loved school, but I wanted to earn money. And my mum had always worked in an office. My dad worked for the government. So I was familiar with what an office environment was like from my mum. I used to go into the office with her at the weekends and go and help her out and do some office work. So I knew I wanted to work in an office, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And at that time, getting a job was quite simple and straightforward. And so if you got good results in your O levels, all of my friends were getting jobs in banks or building societies. And so I just went and I applied to lots of banks and building societies, had interviews for the Woolwich and the NatWest and some other big insurance companies, and then recognised the Prudential. The Prudential was a household name. And I applied for a job at the Prudential. I didn't really know what the Prudential did, but they had a really nice office. It was very modern in Reading, and they offered me a job, and I said, yes, please. So really, the only reason why I chose the Prudential was because I knew the name, and it was a big company, and they had a really nice office. There was nothing more to it than that. I didn't even know what job I'd be doing at the Prudential. They were just hiring people en masse. And for my first 6 weeks, I was locked away with a group of other new starters and was in a training program and was taught everything about the products and services that the Prudential offered, all the different jobs around the business. It was a really great introduction to the organisation. And through that training program, the trainer then decided which department you should go to.
Okay, yeah.
And the irony of all of that is that I went to work in a marketing department. And what I do now is very closely affiliated with a marketing function. But even more weird was one of my first jobs was taking annuity quotes over the phone.
Wow.
And now I work for one of the largest providers of guaranteed income. So it felt like I'd kind of come home when I started. Just all of the language around annuities was really familiar to me. It all flooded from when I was 16-year-old. I got trained by a lovely lady called Hilary. There were two part-timers who used to do the quotes, Hilary and Eileen. And they both trained me, and so I was familiar with all of the language and the product features from my time at the Prudential. So that's how I started my career in financial services. I kind of fell into it, really. I didn't really know what it was or what it was about, but was fortunate enough to end up working for an amazing organisation like the Prudential, who, really supported someone having a career, I think. Lots of opportunities were presented, and if you were willing to work hard and you wanted to take the opportunities, then lots of doors got opened up. So yeah, I feel very fortunate. I fell through their front door in Abbey Gardens in Reading.
Yeah, and it's almost identical to my experience. So I ended up at Prudential for very much the same reasons. I was just applying to, I think I went to Barclays, Pru and Norwich Union or something like that. And then, the Pru was the one that I ended up with and loved it. And I think, like you say, they were an excellent organisation. I think even now, I left 20 years ago, I still look back at some of the things. I think they were so ahead of their times.
They really were. There's stuff that I still, can recall and reference back to. I think it was last week, I was talking about Neil Rogers, who was one of my bosses at the Pru. And I don't know if you remember this, Sarah, but do you remember the customer love program?
I do, customer love, yeah.
And we were love coaches.
Yes.
And we went away. And our chief executive has just started to talk about the fact that he wants everyone to love their customers, love our customers. And
Oh my word.
it just so reminded me of that time at the Prudential. So I have a lot of people at the Prudential that I have to thank for where I am today, but such great experiences, great knowledge, great skills. It was because of everything that I learned at the Prudential that I felt like I was able to leave and go and run my own business. So that's really how they treated managers. You were responsible for a part of the business. You had to manage the budget. You had to produce an operating plan, quarterly reforecasts. We were taught really well.
Yeah, agree.
And really fantastic support given as well. My career at the Prudential. So very, very, very fortunate.
Yeah. So Paul's just made a couple of comments about being good experience for dealing with all sorts of things in later roles. So yes, thank you for that, Paul. Very similar to his first role at another insurance, different kinds. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've sort of touched a bit on this already, but what is it you like about working in financial services?
Yes, it's a bit of a weird thing to even consider, is that I like working in financial services. I don't know that I like working in financial services. I think I just like working in a service environment. Okay. And so, it's customer service that really floats my boat. And if anyone was to say what's my career been in, I'd say, I've worked in customer service for my entire career in some shape or form. Yeah. And so I think for financial services, I just think it's the fact, particularly now for Just, I really feel like I've found a place that the organisation's purpose really speaks to me. Our purpose is that we help people achieve a better later life, and that when you start thinking about how much time and effort and resources have been put in by the government into people saving into their pensions, it's a staggering amount of money. Auto enrollment, it's a really good thing for sure. My beef, I suppose, and the thing that drives me now and why I'm still here, is that there's so little of those resources spent on the decumulation phase. And so you've worked very hard your entire life, you've saved very hard. You're now at the stage where you're making decisions, many of which will be irreversible, about how you spend your pension savings and how you fund the rest of your life after your career, your working life, if you like. That I feel like it's a very underserved part of our market. Financial advice is expensive. It's viewed as, unattainable for many people. And we're really looking to bridge that gap and deal with the advice gap that exists, where I've got some money, but maybe it's not enough for, traditional financial advice from a financial intermediary who's looking after the mass market. Well, that's the space that we operate in. And that's what keeps me here. I want to be part of. We've started talking about a revolution. I don't know whether it will be a revolution, but I want to be part of something that makes a difference for my children, for example, so that when they have saved hard for their retirement, that they feel better supported than people today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting. I saw actually a post, and going back to the question about what do you like work about financial services. So it's one of my clients, and she wrote a post today to say that the stats say that it's less than 4% of kind of school leavers and graduates that want to work in financial services, and we need to find some kind of way to get that sparkle back. And I think it's actually quite good, because it was brilliant for me working at Prudential at 18. It was like being at university with money. There was so many young people there.
Yeah, and if you think about us, we're a very small company. We employ probably just over 1,000 people, and yet we don't outsource. We outsource some of our service, but not very much. So it's a closed book that's outsourced, but the rest of it, we do everything in house. So we, out of our, say, 1,200 employees, we have an IT function, we have a project management change delivery function, we have many actuarial functions, we have a marketing function, we have a sales function. And so actually, if you're straight out of school and you've got some service skills, you might see a way in through an operational role, maybe working in customer service, doing some admin or speaking to customers on the phones. But then once you're in the organisation, many doors can then open up for you, because trying to get a career, for example, as an actuary can be really challenging and really difficult, and those opportunities don't always present. But actually, if you've got a maths degree and you come in and you've got a job in customer service, work hard in customer service, and opportunities do come up internally, and then you've already got your foot in the door. And so actually creating a career pathway, and even if you don't know what it is that you want to do, actually coming to a place, a financial services organisation that does all of that stuff for itself, allows you to go and try some stuff around the business, and it's trying in a really safe way. You might get a secondment into another team, or you might just go and spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes going and sitting with someone and asking them a few questions about what a job in marketing really is like. So I think financial services definitely has a lot going for it, for sure, because of the variety of work that's involved. It's not just about the maths, it's not just about the numbers. There's a whole load of other specialist functions that exist within a financial services firm that maybe people don't quite understand.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good advice. Okay, so you've always been a really inspirational leader, I think. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to move into a leadership role?
Well, first of all, when I read that, I was really flattered. So thank you that you said that. It's not often you think of yourself as being inspiring. I'd say the thing that I think has probably served me very well over the years, and I didn't always know this, is just to be yourself. I think when I first became a manager, I maybe thought that I needed to be different somehow, and that at times I felt like I was probably acting a role and wasn't probably being very authentic and very genuine. And I think there was a small part of me that was, I suppose, worried that if I was to be the real me, the most authentic version of me, perhaps I wouldn't be a very good leader. And in order to be a good leader, I needed to be something other than me. And I think all I've learned probably over the last maybe 15 years or so, maybe 20 years, 15, 20 years, is the more I get to know me and the more I understand me, the more I like myself, first of all. And the more I like myself and the more comfortable I feel being me, the better leader I become. It's certainly much less exhausting. There's so much energy put into being something that you're not. And, that when I got employed, they just employed me. I didn't have to put on an act. I just turned up and I was me, and they employed me, and we talk about bringing your whole self to work. Well, that's what I want to do. So I was doing a qualification a few years back with the British Psychological Society. And one of the things that I talked through was my fear of presenting to people that were in a senior position, and how awful I found it, like a small part of me dying inside as I walk into a room with directors, and the red flush coming up and my voice going all funny. And we totally unpicked everything that was going on for me. And what I realized is that probably me at my most authentic is when I'm speaking to my children. They're 15 now, but I've never pretended to be anything other than me with my kids, and they love me unconditionally. They don't care what I do, how well I do it, how badly I do it. They forgive me anything, and they just love me for being me. The moment I realized that, I was just like, okay, well, that's who needs to come to work every day, is that person. And so here she is. don't bother with the mask. If you want to be a really inspirational leader, just be you, and it will come. And get to know yourself, get to know what you're good at, accept your weaknesses. Know that you can't be brilliant at everything, but surround yourself with people that as a group, as a collective, we're complete. We each bring something that's different. So that's what I'd say. Just really focus on learning who you are and then show up.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. And do you think that becomes a bit easier with age as well, and kind of age experience plus all the learning, I guess?
Yeah, I definitely haven't done this by myself. I've had lots of support along the way. So I worked with some amazing occupational psychologists. I've read a lot. I've watched a lot of TED Talks. I've watched a lot of webinars. I've been analysed a lot. I've done lots of psychometric questionnaires. I've had lots of tears, lots of arguments with myself, I suppose, lots of feedback over the years.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I think you learn over time, but I think is something that also can very much be learned and be taught, and probably should start at a very young age. Our self-esteem is something that is so important. And if you're going to be loved by others, you've got to learn to love yourself first of all. And I suppose that's what I've taught and I'll continue to practice.
Yeah. And do you find that your team maybe is more authentic with you as a result, because they see you putting yourself out there?
I think so. I think by showing a little bit more of yourself to others, that that's the place where trust is formed, that if I am able to confide in you and tell you that maybe I've done something that maybe I don't feel particularly proud of, or actually I've really struggled to do something, or actually I'm really pleased that I've done something, I'm really impressed with myself at how well I've done, that encourages other people, I think, to open up. So being open, being transparent, allowing others to see you for who you are, I think, earns reciprocation. People are inclined to reciprocate, and they start telling you things and sharing more with you. So we definitely have a very open culture in my team where we say what's on our minds. I'd rather have it out and debate about it and talk about it. And often the moment you've said it, it already feels smaller. Now I've said it, because now I've heard it, and now I've heard it, I can go, is that what I really mean? And so it really helps us to get to know each other and understand what's going on for each other. And often as a consequence, we come to much better decisions, having had the debate and the discussion and the disagreements and, alternative ideas and all that sort of stuff. So, very much so.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So far, everyone that's been on has talked about their values in some way. So I'm guessing I know the answer to this, but do your personal values have an impact on the type of organisation or role that you'll take on?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I didn't realise that when I went to work for the Prudential. I didn't even know what my values were. I don't think. I just wanted some money. I wanted some money and to have some fun. But I think the more experience you get, maybe the older that you get, I think values play a really important part. And I can think of a time when my values weren't aligned in an organisation and I was desperately unhappy. And I don't think I knew it at the time, but I can reflect back now and I see a very different person. Then I think your environment has such an impact on your performance. And if you're not broadly aligned with the organisational values, then I think you're going to find it very hard to show up. And I think you're going to find it very hard to have an impact in the way that you want to have. And so, I think inevitably there's much less friction between the organisation and self when at least some of your values are aligned. I don't think they all have to be aligned. Inevitably, there's times where I think, we should be less worried about the profit and we should be more concerned about the customer. And some of my colleagues, will do that great job of reminding me that we're not a charity and that we are a business and that we have shareholders. So values very important, and take the time to figure out what they are. It's not it's not a simple question to answer, is it?
No, definitely not. And I think what you say is right with them. I think they do become more important with age. I think when you're setting out, you do need a certain level of income. So, and you might have more responsibilities financially as you're younger, and they get less as you get older. So you can be a bit
more choiceful. I think you just have to work out what you're willing to compromise on. Some really great advice I was given at the Prudential by one of the coaches there was, I think she said to me, "What is it that you want, Jenny?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know." And I said, "I could tell you everything that I don't want."
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm not interested in that. What is it that you want?" And I couldn't answer it in the moment. And she said, "It's okay. It's a tough question, right? Go away, have a think about it, write it down, do it over some time." And I did it in the back of my book. It was her suggestion. Stick it in the back of your book. When something pops in your mind, write it down. You don't have to share this with anybody. You don't have to show this. This is for you. And she said, and when you've got your list, then have a look at your list. And then, let's be realistic. You're probably not going to get everything that you want, right?
Yeah.
But, prioritize it. What are you willing to negotiate on? What are you willing to compromise, and what are you absolutely not willing to compromise on? And then whatever decision you're making next, is that going to help you get whatever is in your top three? And if it does, well, great decision. And if it's not, well, then another question is, so then why this and why not wait or something else?
Yeah.
And I still draw on that today. I thought I was doing that exercise for my career, but it turned out that was my life. So a really powerful thing to do. What is it that you want? And that really helped me to understand my values and what I was really willing to compromise on and what was non-negotiable.
Yeah. Excellent. Really good advice. Thank you. So we talked about this briefly when we met a couple of weeks ago. So what is your view now on office working versus hybrid versus remote? So I'm thinking really for people that are joining organisations and team bonding and all of that kind of stuff. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's really difficult actually. Hiring people in today's climate is really challenging because we do 40% in the office, so a minimum of 2 days a week. And that's what I do. I do 2 days in the office, 3 days at home. If I need to come in more often, then I will. If some of my stakeholders are in and there's a meeting and everyone's here and I'm dialing in, I don't want that. I want to be in the room. I want to be where everyone else is. So I think there is something about being flexible and not too fixed in your mind about what you're willing to do. It's important that you try. I didn't want to come back into the office after I'd spent all this time working at home. I was quite reluctant, but in a leadership position, I felt like I needed to, show some willing. And I hate being told what to do, like many people. And I didn't want to be told that I had to come into the office. So I started coming into the office. I thought, what was I willing to do? And I thought, I'll do a couple of days and I'll see how I get on. I started, my team followed, and then the 40% was mandated. So, and it works. I mean, the whole team is here today, all 5 of us, and other people are in the office. And it was really nice to come back to the office because there's a buzz and it's a break from home. Lots of people are not fortunate enough to have a home office or even a spare room that they can work in. So they might be sat at their dining room table. It's not ideal. It's not great, I don't think, for your mental health. I don't think it's good for your influencing skills, your ability to engage with others, to relationship build. I come into the office and I'm able to bump into some people that I maybe don't see very often. We go for a coffee, we catch up. It's just so much simpler sometimes face to face, and that spontaneity of just bumping into someone. And I'm really glad that I've seen you actually, because there's something that I want to talk to you about. Trying to do that when you're remote, I've got to look in your calendar, find some time in your diary, you're back to back on calls. I can get in maybe in 2 weeks' time. The moment's kind of gone then.
Exactly.
So I think hybrid is a really good mix, and I think 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, it's what really works for you, and what also what's working for the business, what works for your customers, what works for your stakeholders. I think if you're just starting out, don't be too fixed on I want to work from home, because office culture can be really good fun. We had,
Definitely.
you know,
Yeah, definitely.
It is just fun being around other people. That's all I say. Yeah.
Excellent. Right, I'm conscious of time now, so I'm just going to ask one more question, which is any advice for people who want to get into a company like Just Group, or an apprentice role, a graduate role, more mature, anyone really?
Yeah, I think have enthusiasm. Have enthusiasm for the organisation that you're coming to work for. Don't be like me when I was 16 and just rock up and not know anything about the Prudential, apart from the fact that they have men on bikes. Find out, do some research, and ask good questions in your interview as well. The job's got to be right for you as well as you being right for us. So have some idea of what's important to you, and see whether you can come up with some questions that will help you decide whether or not the organisation's culture is going to be a fit for you. But yeah, be open to trying stuff. You might not get offered the role that you're really looking for. It might not be your ideal role, but is it a stepping stone towards what your ideal role might be? And you never know, what you think is your ideal role may not actually be your ideal role.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much. A couple more comments. So Paul's saying the Marty mention is needed much more in an organisation that doesn't fit with your values. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Tina is saying, hello, looking forward to our LinkedIn Live next week. Oh yeah, so I'm on Tina's show next week. She does, she's an executive headhunter, so I'm looking forward to talking to her.
Great.
That's weird for me being a guest.
Yeah, you can be on the other end.
I know. Yeah. All right, so thank you again, Jenny, for joining. It's been really, really interesting talking to you. And thank you to anyone that's been watching. I will go through and answer any questions later on if anyone puts any up later. And next week I'm back at my normal slot of 1 o'clock talking to Ian Bickers, who I also know from Prudential, used to be my boss for a while. He's Prison Group Director for London Prisons, and he is going to be joining us from Wormwood Scrub. So that's going to be really interesting talking to him.
Really interesting. Yeah, that's definitely one that I'm going to be listening to, Sarah.
Brilliant. So thanks again, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.